Okay, so I just recently talked about the first movie in the Dark Knight trilogy and part of my build-up towards Batman v Superman. Now let's talk about its sequel, The Dark Knight. Now this movie was getting a lot of ridiculous hype when it first came out for a couple reasons. One, Batman Begins was an awesome movie. It completely resurrected the Batman movie franchise into something great and exciting again. And two, we were already really excited to know that Batman's biggest enemy, the Joker, was going to be in The Dark Knight. But what really gave this movie the further anticipation that it had is because Heath Ledger had tragically died just before this movie was released. So naturally, a lot of people wanted to know how the last movie he would fully be a part of would hold up. Now when it comes to the opinions of The Dark Knight, some people will say a variety of things. Some call it the best movie of 2008. Some people call it the best movie in the Dark Knight trilogy. Some people call it the best Batman movie ever made. And while I do agree with all of those statements, I think it should be taken a few steps further. If you ask me, The Dark Knight is the greatest superhero movie ever made and one of the best movies of all time. I am so happy and excited to be talking about this with you guys. And I know you've all seen it because if you haven't, well, why? So the opening scene in The Dark Knight by itself is fantastic. We see all these guys hired by the Joker to come in and rob a bank. They're all wearing these clown masks. And one by one, the Joker has assigned each of them to take out a certain member of the group, so there's one less share between everybody. And at the very end of it all, after all of the money has been bagged, just before the last guy standing can leave, he takes off his mask and reveals himself to be the Joker. Which right there shows you just how smart he is in the fact that he was able to orchestrate all of this. He was able to have each of his men take each other out so he could escape with all the money for himself. So right out the gate, the Joker's a badass villain and you know that Batman is gonna have his hands full. Now moving forward a little bit to one night in Gotham, we see a group of Russian mobsters negotiating with the Scarecrow over the drugs he has given them. And of course these mobsters aren't very happy that the Scarecrow's drugs are making their customers see a lot of scary shit that they could have gone their whole lives without seeing. Then out of nowhere, a bunch of different Batman posers with guns show up to try to take care of this whole situation. But they all just completely get their asses whooped. Whether it's by fear gas or Rottweilers, it just doesn't look very good for the half-assed Batman. Luckily though, the real Batman shows up in the sick Batmobile and he just proceeds to apprehend the Scarecrow and a lot of the other thugs, including the other Batman. And the best part, of course, is they try to ask Batman, hey, what's the difference between you and me? And just before he leaves, Batman goes, I'm not wearing hockey pads. In the meantime, however, Bruce Wayne is keeping a very close eye on Gotham's new district attorney and Rachel Dawes' new boyfriend, Harvey Dent. Bruce's intention is to figure out whether or not he can be trusted to work alongside him and James Gordon. James Gordon does, however, feel that Harvey Dent really can't help them out because he is referred to as Gotham's White Knight. The issue that does remain among Gotham, though, is that there are people who feel that Batman is simply a mass vigilante who can never be trusted. And then Harvey Dent proceeds to deliver one of the best quotes from movies ever. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. After hearing those lines, Bruce is now starting to see that Harvey Dent truly can be someone who can help them fight in the pursuit of justice. Now on the other side of Gotham, we see several different mob leaders meeting up together to discuss how their money was stolen and also it being tracked by the cops. That's when we see businessman Mr. Lau, who operates a shady investment company in Hong Kong. And he tells them that he has been able to transfer all of their money to a safer location so all of the problems are now solved. And here is where we at last get our introduction to the Joker. Well, okay, I guess you could say the whole bank robbery from the beginning of the movie was his introduction. But this is his first full-fledged, no-mask appearance in the movie. And I love the way the Joker is portrayed in this movie. He has sort of this grungier, messier look to him. You know, his hair is all green and messed up. His smile is just scarred onto his face. It made for a really cool and unique look to him. So he shows up to the meeting and he's just laughing all sarcastically to their plan. And he just jams a pencil onto the table and he's all like, I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. And then he just takes one of the leader's guys and he just smacks his head onto his pencil so it goes up into his eye and the Joker's just all like, ta-da! It's gone. That moment was awesome and I laughed really hard actually. Does that make me a bastard? So anyways, the Joker is showing up to tell them all that the real problem they have to deal with is Batman. He points out that Batman will at some point find Lau and make him squeal because Batman has no jurisdiction. The Joker does, however, say that the plan should be to kill Batman, something he's willing to do for half the mob's money. But naturally, they don't exactly want to take the word of some crazy bastard wearing clown makeup. Only they soon realize that the Joker was in fact right about how much of a problem Batman is going to be for them. Because now, after being upgraded with a lighter and faster suit by Lucius Fox, Batman goes into Hong Kong and he physically takes Lau with him back to Gotham so he can be tried. From there, Harvey Dent and Rachel Dawes are able to get Lau to give up the mobsters that he's been working with, which puts the majority of them in prison. But now at this point in the movie, we see that the Joker actually does mean business. In what comes definitely one of the most memorable scenes of this movie. He gets delivered to one of these mob bosses dead, only to wake up and then hold this guy by the face with a knife. Where he proceeds to tell this mob boss a little story about how when he was a kid, his dad was an abusive drunk, and at one point he took a knife and he carved a smile onto the Joker's face, and that's how he got those scars. Why so serious? And when I saw that for the first time, I was like, I don't remember that being a story with the Joker in the comics, but whatever, it was a really cool scene. The Joker then proceeds to release a video of him saying that Batman must take off his mask and turn himself in, and each day he does not, he will kill people. But getting back to Bruce Wayne, we see that it is his overall intention to give up being Batman. At a fundraiser he throws for Harvey Dent, he tells Rachel that Harvey is the one who can take his place. He locked up a bunch of the city's worst criminals, and he did it without wearing a cape or a cowl or sounding like he has throat cancer. This is ultimately because Bruce knows that if he can stop being Batman, then he and Rachel can finally be together. On this same night, however, James Gordon has discovered that it is the Joker's intention to kill Gotham's police commissioner, judge, and Harvey Dent. The commissioner and the judge are both killed, but Bruce Wayne finds out that the Joker is coming for Harvey, and with that, he saves Harvey by choking him out and locking him in a closet. Then when the Joker does show up, he approaches Rachel and decides to tell her the story about how he got those scars. Except this time when he tells the story, he tells Rachel how he used to have a wife and at one point he stuck a razor in his mouth so he would always be smiling. You listen to it and you're just like, holy crap, it's all just a big joke. This shows right here that Christopher Nolan did a really great job in making the Joker how he should be. Batman then shows up himself, but before he can do anything, the Joker just takes Rachel and he throws her out of a window. Batman is then able to save her before the two of them just break their fall onto a cab. Strange how neither of them were really injured from that. But who cares? This movie's still fucking awesome. But naturally, after all this, Bruce is now trying to figure out what the Joker's overall intention is. And then Alfred tells him a little story about back in his military days, they were trying to find a thief who kept stealing these jewels. And one day they discovered that the thief was actually just throwing these jewels away. He was only stealing them for fun. He tells Bruce that there are certain people in this world who cannot be bought with, bargained with, or reasoned with. Some people just want to watch the world burn. Now later on, more and more people are being killed by the Joker. And soon they discover that he intends to kill Gotham's mayor during a funeral for the police commissioner. Bruce, however, through his really smart detective abilities, is able to figure out where the Joker might be. But he only finds a bunch of guys just bound and gagged who have had their guns and uniforms taken from them. The Joker and his men are just about to kill the mayor, but James Gordon is able to save him, albeit seemingly at the cost of his own life. With that, Batman officially decides that it is now time to give in. He then tells Harvey to hold a press conference the next morning so that he can reveal his identity. But at the press conference, Harvey tells everyone that he is Batman, not Bruce. However, we see that this is all part of Harvey's plan. He will be escorted to county in a SWAT vehicle, which will lure the Joker out of hiding so the real Batman can take him down. And the Joker is trying to do everything he can to breach this SWAT vehicle. He's using a pistol, a shotgun, and even a friggin' rocket launcher. Batman, however, is luckily able to stop the rocket launcher by using the Batmobile to block it. This, however, basically destroys the Batmobile itself. Well, now Batman looks screwed. If he didn't have a really sick bat plot to continue his pursuit with. But he does, and like the Batmobile, this thing is so awesome too. So Batman then uses the Batpod to just completely somersault the truck the Joker is in. I don't know how he did that, but it was still sick. And then comes a moment between the Joker and Batman that I think is great. The Joker's just standing in the middle of the road. Batman is driving at him full speed. And the whole time, the Joker's just telling Batman to hit him, because that is essentially the only way the Joker can win. Batman's one rule is that he will not kill anyone, and if the Joker can get him to break that rule, then he has succeeded in corrupting him. Batman, however, does not run over the Joker, and the Joker is finally arrested by James Gordon, who had faked his death to protect his family. And yeah, his wife obviously slaps him in the face for it, but I think any wife would have probably done that. Shortly though, after they have taken the Joker into custody, they find out that Harvey Dent had never made it home. So yeah, even though he is now in their custody, they still suspect the Joker because he's just that smart. So James Gordon, who has just been named the new commissioner of Gotham, decides to have Batman come in to have a little chat with him. And what I really love about this scene is this is the first time we really see Batman and the Joker have a one-on-one conversation with each other. The Joker proceeds to tell Batman that as soon as the city no longer needs him, they will turn on him. And when the chips are down, the civilized people of Gotham will eat each other. But Batman really isn't interested in that right now. He wants to know where Harvey Dent is. Only for the Joker to make it even more personal by telling him that Harvey Dent and Rachel have both been captured and there is only enough time to save one of them. So Batman leaves to go save Rachel while James Gordon and the police go to get Dent. Batman arrives on time, but unfortunately he finds out that he was actually given Harvey's location, and the police unfortunately arrive too late to save Rachel, and she is killed in an explosion. The same type of explosion that just burns off half of Harvey's face and also one side of his two-sided lucky coin. And to make matters worse, the Joker is able to escape through a phone bomb that he placed in one of his guys' chests. It's like, holy shit, dude, how does he think all of this through? So obviously, Gordon feels awful because he couldn't save Rachel. But Harvey tells him that because he had men that couldn't be trusted is ultimately why Rachel died. So here is where Gordon tells Harvey that the other nickname people have for him is Two-Face. And then we officially see Harvey Dent's face after the explosion. And the entire left side of his face is just trashed. You see it all burnt away and scarred with tendons. His eyeball, his jaw, bones, everything is now visible. It was really good visual effects to see how real they made it look. But now the Joker has gone right back to work. He has basically taken control over the mob, and he calls into this talk show that's hosting Coleman Reese, who's ready to expose the Batman's true identity. And the Joker now decides that he wants Batman's identity to remain secret, and he tells the talk show that if Coleman Reese is not dead in 60 minutes, he's gonna blow up a hospital. And already, you see what the Joker was talking about. The chips are coming down, and now these civilized people are trying to kill Coleman Reese. But the Joker's real priority is to officially corrupt Harvey Dent. So he finds Harvey in his hospital bed and he tells him how he didn't rig those charges, he is not a guy with a plan. I'm a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I actually caught it. No, I just do things. I actually thought that was a really smart analogy. He tells Harvey that he needs to introduce a little anarchy and that the only way to bring balance to a cruel world is through unbiased, fair chance. With that, Harvey now uses the burnt coin to flip for whether or not he kills the Joker. It lands clean, and with that, the Joker then proceeds to blow up the hospital. In what comes another moment of brilliant acting by Heath Ledger. The hospital's blowing up behind him and he's just strutting out of it like it's no big deal. But then it stops for a minute, which actually wasn't supposed to happen. Fun fact for you guys. And it eventually does work, but it was some great improv that led to a really funny moment for the movie. But now that the Joker has turned Harvey Dent into who he is now hell-bent on seeking revenge. And he's just going around to all the people who cross him and he is flipping that coin to decide whether or not he kills them. In the meantime, the Joker has now officially declared that Gotham is now his city and anyone who's left in it by nightfall is playing by his rules. So yeah, naturally everyone decides it's time to haul ass out of there. But because the Joker has rigged the bridges with explosions, the only safe way out of Gotham is by ferry. So they use one to transport civilians off and another to transport away the prisoners that Harvey Dent locked up just in case they are working for the Joker. But yeah, of course, the Joker is still involved in all of this. He has rigged each of these boats with explosives along with the remote to blow up the other boat. The Joker says that he's gonna blow up both ships at midnight, but if one boat blows up the other one, he will let that boat live. Now really put yourself in that situation. You have that fear that at any minute you could be killed in an explosion, but in order to survive, you have to decide to kill other people. I mean, it's horrifying. With that, Batman now knows that he absolutely has to take down the Joker tonight, especially before he can blow up both of these ships. And through using a sonar technology that was developed by Lucius, Batman can now use every cell phone in Gotham to track down the Joker's location, which actually gives him the blue glowing eyes that we see in all the comics and cartoons. That was really cool. Lucius agrees to help, but only under the condition that this machine is destroyed afterwards. Batman finds the Joker's location, but he has discovered that the Joker has disguised his men as hostages and the hostages as his men. This has the SWAT team targeting the wrong people. And here's where we get to see just how much of a badass Batman is. Because now, not only does he have to take down the fake hostages, but he also has to fight the SWAT team to prevent them from shooting the wrong people. It's just really cool seeing Batman use the sonar to see everything, the way he uses his grappling gun and all the cool shit on his utility belt. It's just why Batman is Batman. But now he has to go confront the Joker himself. And the Joker uses the Rottweilers to attack Batman. He tries to beat him down with a metal pipe. It leads to a really brutal and intense fist fight between the two of them. So now the Joker has Batman pinned down. The clock is just about to strike midnight, but neither side decides to activate the bomb to destroy the other ship. This shows that the people of Gotham, whether prisoner or civilian, still value their morality and are ready to believe in good. And just before the Joker can blow up both of these ships, Batman just takes them and he hauls his ass over the building, where we hear the Joker just laughing his ass all the way down. And what's awesome about this moment is the Joker had mentioned earlier in this movie how in their final moments people show you who they really are. And in what looked like his final moments, he was laughing hysterically. But Batman refuses to break his rule and he uses the grappling gun to hoist the Joker back up to the building. The Joker now sees that Batman truly is incorruptible, which leaves him feeling that the two of them are just destined to do this forever. To which he tells Batman that although the people on the boat didn't kill each other, he does have an ace in the hole. And that is, he dragged down Gotham's White Knight to the level of evil that will cause the people to lose hope and eventually give in to their madness in seeing that Harvey Dent succumb to it as well. So Batman decides to leave the Joker for the SWAT team and go confront Harvey Dent, who in revenge for Gordon not saving Rachel, he is now flipping to decide whether or not he kills James Gordon's son. Right here, it just shows just how far Harvey Dent has fallen. He went from being the best of the best, the most good and true person in Gotham, to a really bad guy who's now prepared to kill an innocent little kid. That is truly the amount of corruption the Joker has done to him. So he's just about to flip to decide the boy's fate, but Batman saves the kid by knocking Harvey Dent off a building, which does kill him. James Gordon thanks Batman, of course, but he now states that it's all over. The Joker has officially won. With the corruption of Harvey Dent, the people that he locked up will be released back onto the streets, and the people will just completely lose hope in good. Batman, however, decides that the Joker cannot win, and Gotham needs its true hero. With that, he tells James Gordon to tell his troops that Batman is the one who killed the 5 people, including 2 cops. Harvey Dent was innocent. Still trying to figure out, though, who the 5 dead people and 2 cops were. If any of you know, please tell me. With that, Batman is now the #1 enemy in Gotham, and the police now just start chasing after him. Gordon's son is, of course, really confused by all of this, but James Gordon explains to him that Batman is the hero Gotham deserves, but not the one it needs right now. So all in all, The Dark Knight is one of the greatest movies ever made. In fact, simply calling this a movie is really undercutting it. It's an experience. It's a masterpiece. It's something that affected everyone who saw it and reminds us all why we love movies. All of the returning cast members do a great job. Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, was fantastic. He played him perfectly as a really noble and justice-seeking good guy, and also played him perfectly as a revenge-seeking, murdering villain. Maggie Gyllenhaal, I think, does a much better job as Rachel Dawes than Katie Holmes does. I was just able to take her more seriously. You can truly see the confidence in that she wants to be there for Bruce, but she does feel that she belongs with Harvey Dent over him. But now let me say a few things about the man who was probably the biggest reason to why this movie became as monumental as it did. Heath Ledger as the Joker. When it comes to the discussion of the greatest performance in the history of cinema, there are certainly a lot of varying opinions. But I'm just gonna say this straight up. If I ever had a gun pointed to my head and someone told me that I had to pick the greatest performance in a movie of all time, I would pick Heath Ledger as the Joker, and I'm pretty confident I would live through the situation. I have watched this movie more times than I can count, and I never ever see any sign of Heath Ledger in this movie. I just see the Joker. He nailed everything flawlessly. The laugh, the dialogue, the appearance, the voice, the Joker's motive, his intelligence, his fighting style, his humor. It's all perfect and it's all genius. Even if you are the biggest Joker fanatic of all time and you really try to nitpick to the bone marrow Heath Ledger's performance, I still don't think you'll find anything wrong with it. His performance is absolutely captivating. I am so happy the Academy recognized the greatness of his performance and awarded him with the Oscar that he absolutely deserved. It is absolutely heartbreaking that he died before this movie was released, but he left us an incredible legacy. The visuals in this movie are great, especially the way they made Two-Face. The story is really smart. The lesson in the value of righteousness is really great for this movie. The writing is fantastic. Everything the Joker says in this movie, you've probably quoted with your friends at least 100 times. The score is still awesome. The action scenes and the fight scenes are completely badass. This movie has such intense and dramatic moments that completely leave you on the edge of your seat. Seeing Batman do Batman things with the Batmobile and the Batpod and the cape that helps him glide through the sky, and his grappling gun, his sonar vision, his utility belt, his martial arts, and those spike things that he shoots from his gauntlet. It's all so great. And what makes this movie, in my opinion, the best superhero movie of all time is the fact that it is more than just a superhero movie. It's a crime movie. It's a thriller. It's an intense action movie. It's a movie about morality. You factor in all of that together, and it is impossible to say The Dark Knight is not one of the greatest movies ever. It is without question one of my favorite movies of all time. I have it right up there with Jurassic Park and The Empire Strikes Back. It is a movie that I will always love and cherish. Opinions that only get stronger and stronger the more I watch and appreciate the greatness of this movie. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.